Let's talk copper. Lundin Mining just posted adjusted profit that tripled over the past year, or since same period last year. Of course, copper has been trading near record highs, and the company has a big stake in a potentially giant project called Vicuña, located up in the mountains on the border of Argentina and Chile. Analysts say Vicuña is the future for Lundin. We're joined by Jack Lundin, CEO and President. Jack, thanks very much for joining us.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you very much for having me.
So just looking at your existing mines, two in Chile, one in Brazil, and you had production of just under 90,000 tons of copper in the latest year. So your annual run rate from those mines is about 360,000 tons of copper?
Yeah, just about. So in 2025, we had a really solid year for Lundin Mining, the third consecutive year where we were able to hit our production guidance on all metal categories that we're producing, so copper and gold mainly. In 2025, we produced 331,000 tons of copper, and that translated into record financial performance for us. We generated over $4 billion in revenue. But if you look at the fourth quarter, which is indicative of current times, we generated over $1.3 billion in revenue, translated to about $686 million in adjusted EBITDA, and really put us in solid footing for the year ahead. So we had strong financial performance, strong operational performance, and we're really pleased to say as well, we had a record performance in terms of safety with our lowest injury frequency rate. So really hitting our stride as we come into what is a very exciting period for our sector.
Can we talk, and the stock doing just fine, traveling in the past year. Can we talk about this Vicuña project? It's going to be gigantic. It'll get eventually up to around 500,000 tons of copper a year. It's at least two mines, two deposits. So you own just part of it? How does that work?
Yeah, that's right. So our partners, BHP, along with Lundin Mining, each own 50% of a joint venture called Vicuña Corp. And on Monday, we were able to announce the preliminary economic assessment of this combined project, which, as you indicated, really outlines a world-class project in terms of scale. It has the potential to become top 5 in terms of volume of production for copper, gold, and silver. So all individual categories, this mine has the potential to be top 5. And on Monday, the preliminary economic assessment outlined very robust project economics. So at current pricing, at spot pricing, nearly $30 billion of net present value at an 8% discount and a 26% IRR. And so we're going to be developing this in a staged fashion, and we're very excited to kind of hit this milestone and keep driving the project forward with hopefully an eventual sanction decision as early as before the end of this year.
Now, but you would get half of the production essentially from the mine. BHP gets the rest?
That's exactly right. So it's an independent joint venture of which BHP and Lundin Mining each own 50%. And so the production would be split 50-50 between both companies. And so together we're looking at putting together an execution plan and moving this project forward through definitive studies. As I mentioned, it was a preliminary economic assessment, and we have further definition on stage 1, which we would look to sanction before the end of this year. And pleasingly for Lundin Mining, which is really important for us, we were also on the heels of having such strong financial performance, entering this year in a net cash position. Our revolving credit facility is on the cusp of being upsized up to $4.5 billion, which means that we are fully funded for the stage 1 build on Lundin Mining side.
It's not going to be cheap, though. It's way up at a high altitude. And the initial spend around $7 billion US?
That is correct. So we outlined a stage 1 capital expenditure of $7.1 billion US. Now, we have a lot of experience in the region. Our Caserones mine is just over the border on the Chilean side of the Vicuña district, where we're operating, and we have driven strong performance and learning a lot about operating at high altitude. And so I think we can translate a lot of those lessons from our Caserones mine. And of course, BHP, our partners, brings a wealth of knowledge in developing large-scale projects of this nature. So we feel very confident with the team that we have in place that we'll be able to mitigate any risks. And we really do understand this operating environment, given that we already do have a mine in full-scale operations just 40 kilometers away from where the Vicuña project is located.
Yeah, you got to bring in water, there's desalination. I guess it's straddling the border, or some of the infrastructure will be in Chile and I think a lot of the production in Argentina. It's fascinating, though. In theory, you'll be mining copper at a negative cost because you're going to be getting so much gold and silver out of this thing, or at least gold.
That is correct. Both gold and silver are in a very impressive quantity next to the copper mineralization as well. And so the first 25 full years of operation, we will have a negative average cash cost of negative 20 cents a pound copper. And that's really due to the strong byproduct credits that are coming from gold and silver. And so, very robust mine, very unique in the fact that it has such high quantities of not just copper, but precious metals as well. And this is a project, that demonstrates scale that would interest a larger company like BHP to come in and look at developing. And so I think we're in a great position and we have a great relationship with our partners, and we'll be working together to advance as rapidly as reasonably possible. And that's why I mentioned, before the end of this year, we see line of sight to getting to a FID.
Oh, you mean, sorry, we're tight for time. You mean BHP might ultimately buy you out of the asset?
No, I think the intention is to continue to work 50-50 in unison with our partner. And we very much are keen to maintain a 50% holding in such a unique asset that really transforms the profile for Lundin Mining. Today, we're a top 25 global copper producer, but when Vicuña is in full-scale operations, it will bring us to a top 10. And so we have every intention of pursuing that and really putting the pieces together to get Vicuña to a full scale, all while continuing to drive consistent returns at our existing operations, which we've been able to do for the past 3 years. And Q1 of 2026 is already shaping up to be very solid for us. So we'll look to build on that momentum going forward.
Thanks, Jack. Jack Lundin, President and CEO at Lundin Mining.